There's fundamentally one issue that we cannot overlook. That we are in this position of freedom of exercise of ideas is because we have a civilized president who has refused to tamper with the independence of the INEC. Having said that, the independence of INEC cannot translate into disenfranchising of Nigerians. I made specific instance of a particular local government where I came from.
Yeah, but with this two-week window,
I hope take for instance within these 2 weeks, if they can register people in Shagamu, for instance, it will make election there, particularly at that federal constituency, more of a representation of the desire of the people. Because as things are, if you do election today in Remo, it is going to be like 40% of the people deciding deliberately on behalf of 60%. This time we are going to have problems in Imekawafo. You see, fundamentally, the eagerness with which people say statistics, don't let us just be going backwards. When you talk about statistics of 80% compliance, we factor in the 90-something% of Northeast that look so artificial. While there is war, they complied. You see, all these things are just being selfish by some partisan politicians who are desirous of legitimizing issues because it favors them. And while we are on this issue, we should appreciate the thinking of the international community. They are from a background that is different from ours. And what they are seeing is not factoring the localization of the environment, because they don't know what happens in Nigeria. So what they are made to see is what they are reacting to. So the overall interest should be the interest of this country, having been provided a level playing field by a decent and civilized president. We should not carry it to the extreme of destroying the unity of this country. Because whether we like it or not, some intrigues still play in Nigeria. And I expect particularly of Professor Jega to be wary of situations that will make people putting insinuation of a northerner running an election that is going to be pro-North. It's a funny thing, but we need to protect Nigeria fundamentally at this point in time.
Let me get to Dr. Baba Ahmed. I've got a response here from Hope Ogbon, who's watching, and then he gives some sort of analysis, a bit of a long one here, guys. Now he says total number of registered voters about 68 million, but the total number of polling units 120,000, and then the total number of card readers per unit 120,000. So INEC allocates 5 hours, that's about 300 minutes. Now, if you take the total number of voters who are registered for each polling unit, you will have 68 million by 120,000. So about 567 people per polling unit. But the bottom line of what he's saying here is it will take 30 seconds per person if you're supposed to go ahead and accredit them in that record time from 8 to 1 p.m. And so if that is not done, because there are some states that are saying an average of between 5 to 10 minutes to get one person accredited, if that happens in many more states, you will have a spillover of those who will get accredited, and the time with which you then vote will be extended. And who knows, it might go on till the next day. Is that a problem for you?
No, not at all. With due respect to the person who sent the information, I think he doesn't have facts. It doesn't. There are 50 polling units, points. They've been broken up. Each one is going to have a card reader. The computations are all mixed up. I'm not sure that it's the kind of thing you respond to, because I think he's gotten the process wrong. The way it is, virtually everybody who turns up between 8 a.m. and 1 p.m. can be accredited. It takes less than a minute to actually accredit a person if the card reader works properly. If it doesn't, and there's a glitch and there's a problem with it, INEC has provided within its guidelines fallback positions that allows the person to be accredited and to vote. So it's not entirely dependent on the card reader at all, alone. And that's why we advise particularly people who speak for the PDP, please take time to read the guidelines on the voting process. Because clearly, even from my brother, Mr. Serikiria, from the way he's talking, see, he's jumped from the fact that the card reader isn't working, then he goes to the fact that PVCs are poorly distributed. Now he's talking about a northerner being manipulated. I worked under a chairman. I was secretary of INEC in 1983. In 2003, I worked under a chairman who was from the south, and I didn't see him do anything that even remotely suggested that he was manipulating the process in favor of a southern candidate. And so I think that what is happening is that the more discredited PDP's position becomes in relation to this persistent knocking of the electoral process, the more they keep shifting ground. I mean, how ridiculous can it be now? The PDP spokesperson right there in front of you is now asking for another voter registration to take place so that more people register in his zone, so that then a lot of people can have. Should we stop the elections until every Nigerian is forced to register or forced to collect their PVC cards? What else is there to do? 68 million Nigerians have collected their PVCs. Maybe 50 million of them would vote, maybe 48 million of them, maybe 55 million. That's their right. It's also the right of those who haven't gone to collect their cards not to go and collect their cards. You can't hold the rest of the country in ransom because a few Nigerians haven't turned up to collect their cards. This is the kind of thing that PDP does. Every progress that is made to improve the electoral process, PDP doesn't like it because PDP prefers the bad, rudimentary, discredited electoral process that doesn't work on simple technology to improve accreditation, to make sure that votes can count. This is what they want. They want to continue to rig elections, and therefore anything you introduce which improves the quality of the voting process, the collating process, the way Nigerians actually vote so that they will at least know who they voted for. PDP doesn't like that. And we are very happy that Nigerians are now aware and they are alert to their responsibilities and their obligations. And they will not tolerate anything that knocks these massive improvements that have been made in our voting process. We're very happy about this.
All right.
And I hope that Nigerians can see what is going on. PDP will never stop. They will never leave the process.
Okay.
Look at how far we've moved now. Now it is the chairman of INEC is a northerner because they can't find anything wrong. Now we are down to saying he is a northerner and therefore he's likely to be allowed to be manipulated.
We'll get a response from Prince Erike in just a moment, but just hold on. That will be when we return from this break. Join us again.